5 games in the UEFA Champions League without a victory is the dubious record Manchester United is hoping to arrest tomorrow when they do take on FC Copenhagen in the 3rd game of the UEFA Champions League group stages. We've been beaten twice in both games by FC Bayern at the Allianz Arena. We were beaten by Galatasaray in a game where our beloved Andre Onana did Onana things, whereas Casemiro tried to come in and cover him up, only for him to earn himself marching orders off the pitch. That's where we are. So there is no Casemiro in this one, but there are some good players in there, including the man at the top in Rasmus Hojlund, who will be facing his former employers. The first club he played senior football for, FC Copenhagen, from his native Denmark, is coming to Old Trafford. Subscribe to the hotspot. My name is Webb. Welcome aboard. With all confidence in me, I think we will be able to navigate this one. But how are we going to do it? So guys, let me tell you about it. Well, we've had 2 wins in a row in the Premier League, but we need wins on the continent, because that's where we at least hope to do something. It's a knockout competition, but Pep Guardiola said it, the UEFA Champions League is the most difficult competition in football. He has won so much, but he knows how difficult it is. So again, the results we are getting show you that indeed it is a difficult competition. But in terms of us United and how we look so far, I think we have a better chance of reaching a bit far in the Champions League probably than we do in the Premier League, to be honest, in all fairness. The Premier League marathon is one that I think is getting quite away from us. Not that we are so many points off the top, 7 points shy of Arsenal and Man City is not too much, but our performances, guys, day in and day out, even the win against Sheffield United was not convincing at all for me. So how on earth would we expect us to reach so far in the Champions League? But at least Rasmus Hojlund is one of those players who are looking good for United, I think, because he has played 6 games in the Premier League, not scored a single goal. But he has 3 goals in the UEFA Champions League in the 2 games he has played, despite losing both of them. Now, it's not about him, it's about the team, isn't it? But for him, he will feel I'm doing my job. I'm meant to score goals. That's why I was bought, and he is scoring them. Of course, the boss Erik Ten Hag was praising him and and I was saying it here, his movement is always in goal scoring positions, which is a good thing. So it's just up to the players around him to find him and feed him the balls. So he's going to be playing against this FC Copenhagen team, largely full of players he was with, because he was just started playing senior football a few years ago. So many of the players are players from Denmark that he knows, that he has been around, that perhaps saw how good he was because he was banging in goals for fun. So they will certainly know the kind of body they have. Certainly, this should be an easy win for us, one that maybe we can't capitalize on to try and bounce back in those groups and make it out of the group. We are rock bottom currently, guys, but we cannot afford to stay there. If we lose this one, even if we just drew this one, for me, it will be out of our reach. So we've got to do a lot. But how on earth is Erik Ten Hag going to do it? Let's talk about the players who are here. I mean, which players are there at his disposal? I told you there's no Casemiro, but Sergio Reguilon trained the whole of last week, trained yesterday. He looks fit, and maybe he'll slide in there and start on the left. The defenders are not so many. I mean, in terms of options, even Ten Hag confirmed it in his pre-match press conference that he doesn't have a luxury of options in terms of defenders, but more options in midfield. As a Danish journalist was asking him about Christian Eriksen and why he's not starting games, but it's because, of course, there's a bit of competition in the midfield. The only thing, though, is there is no difference in terms of maybe Scott McTominay is trying to peel away from the rest, but most of our midfielders almost give us the same thing. They don't deliver consistently. So I think they are one and the same largely. But the competition is there, he says. But in the back line, you hope Reguilon will be on the left. Varane played a few minutes in the last game. Maybe he can be in that defense. If he's fit, he has to start, because we need his calmness in the back line. Harry Maguire was our best player against Sheffield United. Reward him with a start. When Maguire is good, he's actually so good. So keep him there. On the right, obviously, Diogo Dalot will start there. Then in the midfield, Sofian Amrabat. And for me, I've not seen the best of Amrabat, to be honest. Maybe this is the opportunity for him to come out there and show us that he can be good, boss that midfield against a small team like Copenhagen. He struggled against Sheffield United. He wasn't impressive for me, but I want to see more of Sofian Amrabat in this one, because surely it's going to be hotter than this sun here. It will be hotter than this sun here at Old Trafford. And also the atmosphere, how these players will build on the atmosphere that we expect at Old Trafford. Remember, This is our first game at home since the disappointment of Sheikh Jassim pulling out of the whole takeover and buying Man United. So many, I'm expecting, will see a lot of placards of people perhaps trying to beg Sheikh Jassim to return, some of them abusing the Glazers as always. Then Sir Jim Ratcliffe, who wants 25%. I don't know so many Man United supporters who are so excited by the idea of Sir Jim Ratcliffe taking over, the footballing department matters at the club. So you expect a placard or two on that, some noise, some bit of commotion. I hope this does not affect the players because we do want to win this one. I think these players need any form of support they can get from any corner to do of Manchester United, of Old Trafford. So it's going to be a tricky game, but regardless, I feel this is a club we should be beating. There is history, we've got the motivation. Eric Ten Hag was talking about how the death of Sir Bobby Charlton should be a motivation for players to play from inside because players need to be psyched up to perform many a time. That's the nature of football. What better psych do you need than a guy, Sir Bobby Charlton, who everyone is eulogizing as the most exemplary figure United has had in football? So Diogo Dalot was saying, was speaking, of course, about how when he scored that screamer of a goal, he felt from the belly how, he was motivated by Sabobi Charlton, who was always there coming after games and talking to the players. So I feel like we have got everything we need to build on to beat Copenhagen. But the thing is, even when we meet opponents like this, with all the things happening around us, we still struggle when we get to the pitch. And for me, there's a huge problem there. But in the Champions League, guys, even what seems to be like the weakest team on paper will beat you. They will beat you and they will dump you. It will be such a shame. And trust me, if we don't make it out of the group in the Champions League, don't you be shocked if the trigger is pulled on Eric Ten Hag. Because what then shall we be basing on to say, okay, Ten Hag is taking us somewhere? I, I honestly don't see any significant progress in terms of how we play. There's no consistency in terms of progress of how we play, how we defend, how we score, our midfield, the patterns. I mean, it's one step forward and at least as if 4 steps back, then 2 steps forward, then 6 steps back. We are there, inconsistent. You wonder how long this will go on. I'll give you a comparison. When Eric Ten Hag was coaching, has just come in at Arsenal. Of course, he was losing games and all, but you would see progress in this team, and you would clearly see that it's a matter of time that Arsenal will look good. And indeed they are, because there was progress. Would you say the same about Manchester United? Perhaps you would. I wouldn't. I don't see consistent progress in terms of what we do. So for me, those are the things. And if we do not beat FC Copenhagen, even if we got just a draw, my feeling is Eric Ten Hag will have to answer. Why are we failing to beat a team like Copenhagen at Old Trafford in this time when Rasmus Hojlund is facing them for the first time again? Their own former player, there is more psych for him. He has scored 3 goals so far in 2 games. They have not been of importance to us because it's not a goal situation. It's win games, get points, make it out of the group, go on to the next. So it's a very interesting situation, but you can imagine the pressure. But I want to see Sofian Amrabat bossing that midfield a bit more, being in control. I think he was a bit off for me in the game against Sheffield United. He was not as exciting as I would have loved to see him. Bruno Fernandes, can we try out something without Bruno? Yes, Bruno is an important player for United, but can Eric Ten Hag have the confidence to say, let me try out a Man U without Bruno Fernandes? Can we first rest him for a bit? Maybe he has played too much football. Put him on the bench a bit. Marcus Rashford, I still don't see what Marcus Rashford is giving us. He's not giving us results. Put him on the bench. Put these young lads who are hungry there at the Garnachos and see how it works. If it falters immediately, you have time to put it right. But for me, I don't know what he's got to do, but Eric Ten Hag has got to do something, make a few changes, and hope that those changes will deliver results. Because trust you me, the pressure is beginning to mount, just like the heat from this sun is beginning to mount in my face. And that's why I'm telling you to subscribe. I will be giving you more about this game and, of course, predicting it for you. But for now, it is a lovely reunion between Rasmus Hojlund and his first employers, that is FC Copenhagen. Tell me what you think about that game, and of course, most importantly, subscribe, fam, if you haven't. For now, that's it. Let me take a ring walk here. Nice